Hey y'all. So Dave Staba sent me a message asking me what some of my favorite movies are. And he also asked me if I would make some longer videos. So I thought that I would make a longer video in which I talk about some movies that I love. I'm sure this won't be a comprehensive list. I'm sure that as soon as I'm done recording, I'm probably going to think of a bunch of films that I wished I had included. But these were the ones that kind of popped into my head. So I have already, in other videos, I've already talked about Jurassic Park, The Secret of NIMH, The Last Unicorn, Watership Down, The Dark Crystal, and I have made an Army of Darkness reference. So I'm not going to talk about any of those today. Let them not be forgotten. And just 3 things. First thing, I'm battling a cold. I have been for a few days now. So, I'm gonna do my best not to cough, not to go into a coughing fit during this video, but I'm planning on this video being around an hour long, and that's a long time to go without coughing when I've been coughing all day. So I do have some emergency tea over here, and I will be sipping on that if I think that I need it. So that's what's going on if you see me taking leisurely sips from a mug throughout the video. Second thing, I'm not at all pretending to be a film expert or a film critic. For the sake of time, because I have a pretty long list of movies I made, and even though I want this to be a longer video, I don't want it to be crazy long. So I'm probably just gonna pick out 1 or 2 random things about each movie. And if you're interested in learning more about any of these films, then you can look them up or watch them yourself. So the third thing is I would really love it for people to give feedback down in the comments. I'd love to know what y'all think about these movies, if you like them, if you don't. But I would really super appreciate it, y'all, if you would be sensitive about spoiler type stuff. Most of these movies are a little bit older. None of these movies are super recent, and I know there's some debate about whether or not a movie becomes fair game for spoilers once it's of a certain age. But still, if there's a movie I talk about and there's like a really significant twist or a shocking character death in the film or something like that, if you could just try and find a sensitive way to address that in the comments if you want to talk about it, either by, doing an all caps spoiler alert warning, or by like going down a few lines in your comment. I don't know. But yeah, if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Similarly, if any of you are really sensitive about spoilers and you hate seeing them, just be really wary when going through the comments. So, with that, I have this magical golden bowl of awesomeness. All the movies are in there, and I've mixed them up. So, first one. So some of these you'll see are paired together just for reasons that made sense to me at the time. I paired these two together just because they're both really dark, scary, smart thrillers. We have The Silence of the Lambs. And we have 7. And they're both just really gorgeous films in a really scary way. The acting in both of these films is really top-notch. I have a really fond memory of the first time I saw Silence of the Lambs. My parents owned a copy of it when I was a kid. They owned a copy on VHS. And they had told me that under no circumstances was I allowed to watch this movie. So of course, I wanted nothing more than to watch this movie. And I snuck watching it one night while they were out, and my older sister who was watching me, was otherwise occupied, and it was awesome. Another duo. We have John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a remake of a much older film. And we have Shawshank Redemption. I can't say much about Shawshank Redemption. I think it's one of those movies that's pretty universally loved. Most people, I think, have seen this film. Most people really like it. The Thing has some really fantastic use of practical special effects. That's one reason I love it. And it also has my favorite poster art, original poster art, I think, of any film I've ever seen the poster of. This was Drew Struzan created this poster. I love it. Do you want to pick the next one? Which one? That one? Okay. Got it. I'll let you see it first. Oh. I love this one. Sunshine is a sci-fi film directed by Danny Boyle, who also did Trainspotting and 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire, a bunch of other stuff. And this one's a little bit divisive. I know a lot of people who don't like this film. I think it's extremely underrated. But I know some people don't like this film, first off, because the premise is pretty dramatic, and a lot of people think that it's silly for that reason. In this film, the sun is dying, so a group of scientists go to essentially drop a bomb into the sun to kind of get it going again. And there's also I don't think this is a spoiler, but there's a significant change of tone that occurs at some point in the film. And a lot of people didn't like that about this. And I understand that. I get why people didn't like it. Didn't like that change of tone. I just don't agree with them. I really liked it. I love this film. From front to back. It's a good one. And it's gorgeous. It's so, so, so beautiful. The use of music in this film is really good too. What film does this sound like? Do you want to smell it? What film does that smell like? Oh yeah, you think so? Let's see. You were right. Aliens and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So I paired these two together, first of all, because they're both sequels that I actually prefer over the first films. I love Alien, and I love the first Terminator movie, but in both these cases I like the sequels better. I also paired them together because I got a lot of my early film exposure from my dad. He showed me a lot of films. And I remember him showing me Alien. He had rented that for me to watch. And I remember him bringing me to see Terminator 2 Judgment Day in the theaters. Both of these I saw when I was fairly young. And it was very important to him that I see films with strong female characters in them. And both these films feature a really strong female protagonist. Ripley in Aliens, as Sigourney Weaver, is awesome. And Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor is really badass in this film. I'm pretty sure that if I had to make a top 10 list of my very favorite movies, or maybe even a top 5 list, these would both be on there. We have Immortal Beloved and Amadeus. And I pair these two together because they're both highly fictionalized films about famous composers. Immortal Beloved about Beethoven, Amadeus, Mozart, and they're both just amazing films. Immortal Beloved has one of my very favorite scenes in any film. There's a scene where Gary Oldman as Beethoven. He's so good in this movie. I know Gary Oldman's good in pretty much everything, but he's really good in this movie. But there's a scene where he's talking to someone about what music is. And I love that scene. It's magic. And a little fun piece of trivia about Amadeus is that Amadeus was originally a play by Peter Shaffer. He also wrote Equus, if you're a theater fan. And in the original Broadway production, and this wasn't the original production because I know it went up in London first, but when it came to New York, in the original Broadway production of Amadeus, I'm pretty sure Salieri was played by Ian McKellen, and Mozart was played by Tim Curry. So for those of you who are Tim Curry fans, Tim Curry was Dr. Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he was Pennywise the Clown in Stephen King's It. I love it. And I bet he was awesome in this. I paired these two together because they're both comedies. I think they're the only comedies that I included on the list. And I love funny films, but for some reason comedies don't show up very often on my favorite films list. I don't know why. Monty Python, The Holy Grail, I saw at a pretty young age. That had a big influence on my sense of humor as it was developing. And Drop Dead Gorgeous is such a good movie. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it is a mockumentary of a teen beauty pageant in Minnesota. And it's so well acted and so well written. It's really funny. And it has kind of a cult following. It has kind of a cult following, but it's not super well known, which is a shame because it's awesome. Should I just switch to full whisper for the rest of the video so I can quit it with the whole throat clearing thing? Would you prefer that? Let's give it a try, okay? I hope the volume is up high enough on my mic. I've heard a lot of feedback about the sound, so I cranked up the volume some on my mic. I hope it sounds good. I pretty much paired these two together because they're both really long. Lonesome Dove was a made-for-TV miniseries. Gettysburg I saw in the theaters when it first came out, and I remember it was so long that it had an intermission. Lonesome Dove is based on a novel by Larry McMurtry. It's one of my favorite books. If you're a fan of books that are really good, then I recommend Lonesome Dove. And Gettysburg is obviously based on historical events, but the source material is a novel. I think it's called Killer Angels. I can't think of the author's name right now. Sorry, sir. I haven't read this book, but I'm told it's very, very good, and the movie is excellent. Jeff Daniels plays Joshua Chamberlain. In the film, Joshua Chamberlain is a really incredible historical figure. He famously led the bayonet charge on Little Round Top. And just a really interesting guy. I believe when he first got involved with the Civil War, he didn't have unlike a lot of other officers, he didn't have any formal military training. He was just he was a college professor from Maine. And I've had the pleasure of traveling to Gettysburg on, I think, 3 different occasions. My dad's a big Civil War history enthusiast, and I used to travel a pretty decent amount with my family when I was a kid. And we had 3 different family vacations where we went back to Gettysburg and toured the battlegrounds. And I loved every one of those trips. I just had this memory of one time we went on this extended trip, and we went to Gettysburg, and also on the same trip, it was like this really long road trip that we did. We also went to, I think this was in Pennsylvania, we went to this I love the whole trilogy. Fellowship is my favorite because I really like character building type stuff in films and character-centric storylines. It's not like this film is lacking in plot at all. It's a very intense, action-filled, story-filled film, but compared to the second two films, I think I really like the amount of initial character building and relationship building. Hi, Elijah. Hi, Sir Ian. Oh, also for another video, let me know if you would like to hear the story about the time that I pissed off Peter Jackson. It happened. It was one of the saddest moments of my life because I didn't mean to. I accidentally severely annoyed Peter Jackson. It's a story for another video. Let me know if you'd like to hear it. Like I said, a lot of the movies I saw as a kid were ones that my dad showed me. This is one that my mom showed me. And I just remember being blown away by it. Alfred Hitchcock. It's based on a really incredible novel that I remember reading shortly after I saw the movie and loving. The acting is awesome. I can't think of the actress's name, but the actor who played the maid in this, so scary. And then just the sets and the costumes were gorgeous. And it's a really tight, creepy, beautiful, kind of romantic thriller. there's this really incredible Raiders of the Lost Ark remake that was made, I think, in the 80s by a couple of kids. And it's a really cool story, and it's a really cool remake. So I will probably talk about that in more detail in some other film, because it's a really cool story. So in another video I'll talk about that. But if you're curious right now and you just have to know, look up, I'm not sure if it's Raiders, the remake, or something like that. With a little digging, you should be able to find information on it pretty easily. Is a claymation film about a young girl in Australia who forms an unlikely friendship as a pen pal with a gentleman in New York City. And they both have very distinct, significant issues of their own. They're both kind of lonely outcasts in their own way. And I think I avoided this film for a while because of the poster, because it looks just really dark. It looks kind of like this dark, heavy, artsy film. And it is kind of dark and heavy at points, but it's not like the kind of film that really weighs you down like I thought it would be. It has a lot of just really joyful, fun, beautiful, beautiful moments. And it's the kind of film where you kind of run through the whole gamut of emotions that are available to you. Joy, sadness, surprise. I highly recommend it. It's a really good one. pretty sure this was Mama, yeah, which was a horror film that he was involved in producing. And he spoke a little bit before the film and after the film, I think. And he's such a cool guy. He's just very smart and funny and down to earth. And I remember he cursed a lot. believe there is. I remember someone telling me at some point that there's a documentary about John Cazale. He was only in a few films before he died. And he was amazing in all of them. I haven't seen the documentary, but I think I need to bump that up to toward the top of my to-watch list, because I'd love to see it. If any of y'all have seen it, let me know how it is. That's it. Thanks for hanging in there through the coughing.